Okay, if you are watching, I am kind of reskinning an old project I've already started, but it's Tailwind, it's React, and I'm simplifying things. There's a whole mess of old components and pages or containers, I guess. This project was started a while back and I inherited it. So, anyhow, there's a lot of MUI left in there still, like this table, but I'm going to hopefully get rid of it here. Um, I've created a card component, and as I said, I'm simplifying. Excuse me. But here is the card component loaded already right there. I just stuffed it in src source, and then components, and then card. Real simple. I'm importing it right here. Import card. There's the actual const card and the export. I added a couple props right here, href to landing one. I just hard coded a value and mydomain.com, and I hard coded that image right there from Shutterstock. So we have a href and a couple p's price. Price. Actually, that should be a prop too. So props dot, what was it? Price. I don't know why I deleted it. And then up here, let's add a price. What happened? We'll say it is $80,000. There it is. We'll look into some formatting for currency, maybe. React, or yeah, React currency format. I'm not a fan of just jamming a whole bunch of components in, but I am a fan of moving quickly, and we're gonna try it out. We are using yarn, so I just need that. And down here, I'm going to kill the current process. Yarn, add, Control Shift V to add React currency format. I hope this stuff is readable. All right, down in the terminal, Yarn is attempting to add React currency format. There's a whole lot of packages I need to rip out of here. Whole lot. Let's go ahead and try to start implementing it. We want to import currency format from React currency format. Let's shrink this down and trust that it'll do its job. Down here above font, so at the top of the card.js file, I just added the import I copied from there. Now we can use it. However, that we do that. We're not using TypeScript anyhow. Here's an example. So we want to actually create a whole tag output. What does our output look like? We just have a P with the price. So let's try to copy and paste prefix and 1000 separator currency as text. That's fine. The first simplest possible example. We're gonna paste it in above the current P. Then we're gonna replace the props price replace the value with the props price. Display type text. I just saved. Let's see what's happening over here. Nothing. I shut it down. That's why. Yarn start. It's gonna open a new. It's opening. I'll just shut down this other one. Open up the DevTools with Control-Shift-I. It's taking a little minute. Bit of a minute. All right, look at that. We have a currency formatted text value right there. Excuse me. And we can get rid of the P down here and save, and it should disappear. It's not. Something failed. There was an error with the what is it called? The WS WebSocket. The WebSocket connection failed, I guess, between Yarn or Node. See, it's happening again. I don't really know why, but that is not cool. Close that. I'm going to reload the window. We'll let the dev container start back up. As you can see up here, maybe it is, it used to be stud.com. That's why it's called stud front end. And if we go back maybe to the way back machine, let's first try to go back to localhost 3000, open the DevTools again, and let's make a change. It showed up. Try again to, okay, it seems to be working. The Wayback Machine. If we go to http stud.com and check it out, say on the 15th of January. Let's see how it does. Probably not well. Yeah, that's kind of, yeah, that was how it was at one point. I mean, I didn't do a lot of that. Anyhow, that's what it looked like initially, and I've been reskinning it to look like that. With Tailwind, just back to basics, some nice Tailwind, clean React, but we're tippy-toeing around old code. Okay, so we have that value, we have the prop, the name, the href. Now we got to figure out how to, I want to remove this table, and it's all data from a Redux query, but I would rather just ping the I want to drop Redux altogether and get the endpoint. So which one was it? Domains. It's just domains right there. API domains, and it's a get. So I got to figure out how to do that with just maybe Axios. I would like to upgrade Axios, but let's see. Yarn upgrade Axios. see if that works. If it doesn't give us an error, then we're in business. For now, I got to figure out, okay, Axios, ReactJS. Is there any, what is this? I don't want a component. 2023, how to use Axios with React. What is Axios? A little bit of history. Axios is used to communicate with the backend, and it also supports the Promise API that is native to JS ES6. It is a library which is used to make requests to an API. It's simple as that. I think right now it's a wrapper around fetch. I like going to MDM for just general documentation. It's awesome. Mozilla MDN Web Docs, the Fetch API. So this is the low-level JavaScript API that any wrappers like Axios or Axios versus Fetch versus no, these are all bad. Versus like AJAX is just a general term. Express is like a Node.js server. Fetch is the base model. It doesn't have fancy features like Axios. We're not going to get totally into it, but in the end, it's all an XMLHttpRequest. And if I remember my history, this was created in or released in Internet Explorer version 5.5, I want to say. And that changed the game and allowed what evolved into what are now single page applications, and generally any web communication going on between apps and servers is an XML HTTP request, and we use them through Axios and Fetch and whatnot and blah blah blah. All right, and enough of that. We want to try to use Axios now, and it looks like it installed, so we're gonna start again, and hopefully it actually works. Excuse me. I'll close that one again. Open up the DevTools, Control-Shift-I. Repetition works, David. Somehow. Timberland. All right. I ain't got no visa. American Express. Uh-oh, it failed again over there. But we were going to concentrate on using Axios and React. So Axios, I closed that Ultimate Guide 2023. I wonder if they just updated the title and put 2023 in. Anyway, let's see what they got. Why do we need Axios and React? Axios allows us to communicate with APIs using a fetch API. Const get post data. It's just creating a function that calls fetch directly. And looking, I closed the MDM docs, but obviously it just has one parameter, which is an API endpoint. And then we have the response and handling of the errors if that happens. However, the first then returns the response in JSON format. Then it just console logs the data that was returned, and if there happens to be an error in any of that, this gets called. So they defined it, they called it, and then using Axios, if we keep it in view so we can compare, Same wrapper. Instead of calling fetch, it calls Axios with .get, the same API endpoint, and it simplifies it into one then call. The internals of this is built on promises. JavaScript. So again, see MDM docs rule. This song is a bit distracting. It's too catchy. We'll listen to some Vlad the Impaler from Kasabian. All right, a promise. The promise object represents the eventual completion or failure of an asynchronous operation and its resulting value. It's quite a mouthful. So yeah, the eventual completion. When you make an API call, you don't know how long it's going to take for that server call to go from start to finish. And the way JavaScript works is it will not wait for those calls. It just keeps going, and your code runs start to finish without waiting for anything. That's a whole different rabbit hole. So we're going to stick to promises. During the event loop, that's the rabbit hole I'm talking about. We're just going to keep it with the event loop. It will keep checking the promise for changes in status. Like I said, there's error handling, or there could be different response codes. Anyhow, low or high level, it is the API call is being wrapped in a promise that JavaScript can keep checking to see if there is a response. So it promises a response and it gets it. Now, if that response is bad, the error, blah, blah, blah. We're going to try to keep going. I'm trying to remember where we started. Anyhow, yeah, that's enough about promises for now. I encourage you to look up all this stuff, but I should probably make some other videos later on everything we're talking about. It's amazing how much technologies, terms, or APIs, everything that's available. There is a lot to learn. Okay, back to the game. In the weak ass JSX comment. All right. We have the card. We have Axios in here now. So we need to call the API endpoint with Axios. And I keep closing that ultimate guide. Here it is again. Why do we need Axios in React? Nope. We installed it. Here's what we're looking for. And we don't want to set state. This is about users. We don't want to post anything. We don't really need to do anything other than call the endpoint. So let's figure out how to do that, because this wasn't quite the info I wanted. Probably want this. All right. The actual React docs. Advanced guides. We are looking for, what if I just search for Axios? How can I make an AJAX call? There we go. And if you don't know what AJAX is, it is just a term that popped up around that XMLHttpRequest object. Request object. Now, that's the town of AJAX. AJAX programming. As I said, AJAX is an acronym. I don't know if I actually said that. I think I said a term, but it's short for asynchronous. And I did want to try to explain what that is as well. Asynchronous Somebody definitely explained it better than me. First, synchronous. The key difference between synchronous and asynchronous communication is synchronous communications are scheduled real-time interactions by phone, video, or in person. Asynchronous communication happens on your own time and doesn't need scheduling. That is not related to what we are talking about. Well, it kind of is, but Stack Overflow. Synchronous means that the caller waits for the response. And as I said, JavaScript is not a waiter. So, which is why we need asynchronous. And in asynchronous, the caller continues and the response comes later. All right, so it's just that's not correct, really. Like, it's just one way. Synchronous is one way. Asynchronous is two way. But I guess if you throw it into the context of JavaScript, then yes, the way they're explaining it here makes sense. Asynchronous, the asynchronicity, if that's a word, happens during the event loop. It's clear in my head. I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but in any case, asynchronous is awesome and allows us to actually deal with the communication in a clean way. Good enough. So we're still trying to figure out how to use Axios. I'm going to close this one now because I'm done with it, I believe. Thank you. I didn't even check the site to give them some credits, but sorry. AJAX and APIs. How can I make an AJAX call? We know that already with Axios. Where in the component lifecycle should I make an AJAX call? See, now I'm learning. I don't really know. So bear with me and we can learn together. So you should populate data with AJAX calls in the component did mount lifecycle. These are like classes. We're not using classes. Here's the equivalent with hooks. Okay, I'm going to keep reading that up here a little bit then. The component did mount lifecycle method. This is so you can use set state to update your component when the data is retrieved. Yeah, we have to get into state, but I'm going to keep going first. Example, using AJAX result to set local state. The component below demonstrates how to make an AJAX call in component did mount to populate local component state. The component below demonstrates how to make an AJAX call in component did mount. Okay, it's hard to digest, read, and keep talking. The example API returns a JSON object like this. Yeah. This is a JSON, a typical JSON object, which is all the data flowing around between apps and servers. Yeah, if you are brand new to all these concepts, this is what it looks like, folks, when you press a button on your phone and it flies out to the ether and asks for some info back or post some of your personal info up there. The data flies around looking like that. It's human readable unless it's encrypted, which it should be in this day and age. We're gonna skip past this stuff because I kind of see what's going on here, but I did not learn any class-based React, so I'm gonna skip down to the modern method. I think is what it is. Modern. I believe this is like the successor to the React classes. Somebody could I could definitely be wrong. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. Okay, got some good jams going again. I actually should look at this then, figure out what's going on. Use effect. Okay. Use effect. I was looking for the definition or like where they import, but it's not showing that part. Use effect ReactJS. Nope. Use ing. I want to just know what it is, man. Come on. All right. Hooks. Okay, it's a hook using the effect hook. As I said, classes. No more hooks. Yes. Try the new React documentation. These new documentation pages teach modern React and include live examples, synchronizing with effects. I'm not going to go down that path. Oh, hooks are a new addition in React. Well, the effect hook lets you perform side effects in function components. I don't know React well enough to explain side effects. This snippet is based on the counter example from the previous page, which we did not look at, but I don't really care. Let's keep going until I see something that looks familiar. This looks familiar. We're going to have a look at example using hooks. We've already seen this example at the top of this page, but let's take a closer look. Import React, use state, use effect. We're going to need this. So I'm going to copy and paste it in right now. And where will I need? I'm going to need it in the home page. So I'll put it at the top just because I like it there. React. No, I like the rest in sorted in descending. Yes. No. Sort line. Leave it like that for now. So use state, use effect. Let's just try this out for fun. So before return, but inside the home component, it could be up here if you want, I think. Sure, why not? Use effect. Well, don't need those kind of quotes or template strings, I believe they're called. These little, these ones, the tilde. So anyway, single quote, double quote, doesn't matter. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Oops. Save. Do I have it even started? Yes. Let's do an alert. Or a console.log. What am I talking about? I don't think it's reloading. There. It is working. Use state, yeah, well. Okay, cool. We have a use effect, side effect. We're using a hook called use effect. That is a side effect, I think. Just got to keep saying all the words. Maybe they'll stick in the right order sometime. Gucci Mane's playing. Okay, now I think this is where we would want to do an Axios call. Yeah. Going back to the AJAX and API docs. I think I'm done with this page for now. We got what we needed, and I think I understand. So there's other, like use state will be another is another hook, another hook, another hook. That is a side effect. Repetition works. David, Natural Born Killers, Robert Downey Jr., man. It's awesome. Oh, and what's his name? Bald dude from Sex and the City. Runkle. Charlie Runkle from Californication. All right. Let's skip the fetch and we'll try an Axios call. We're going to need to import Axios. I should have just let it do that. Copilot want to take over. I think it's Copilot. In the effect now, so we imported Axios. This is it. This is the var, the variable, the constant, the let var const, whatever you want. However you want to think about it. The object. It's the actual Axios. I'm losing my train of thought. Here it is. Axios dot get, was it? API domains. It knows we want that. And yeah, we're gonna let Copilot do its thing. And other than that, a little bit of error. Nope. There we go. Okay, so Copilot finished it for us. We're not doing any error catching. We're just gonna see. We're gonna see what's going on. Now, see, it's broken. Nope. Sometimes it just doesn't catch up in time, and I don't know. I'm gonna have to do it on my own. Line 48. So yeah, it's up here. I'm gonna drag card up here. It's hard to see. Hard to see. Okay, let's see how I destroyed it. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Axios.get. Control Shift Z is what I'm doing now. And there's where it broke. There we go. I did it. So we can do this on our own console. Oh, well, it still did it for us. I cleaned it up in a roundabout way. Back to here. I'm going to reload, I guess, on my own. And look, we have some action in the console.log area. We have object, data, array, and yes, if we compare all this data, this JSON data, or JSON, however you like to say it, to this table, if we compare it to this table, it'll be the same. You know, usernames, user IDs. This is all coming from my my API, Laravel API right here, running locally. If I do like a bdev artisan route list, list, enter. There it is. A whole bunch of routes need to be cleaned up as well. But in here, if we pipe it to grep and look for domain, or actually API/domain, it should show us the related, or the matched routes. And what is it? If we look at the network tab, I mean, we have it right up here, but I just want to illustrate what's going on. Network tab and dev tools. We're filtering on fonts, but I want XHR. That's the XHR request object. reference to, anyway, what am I doing? One of these API domains. There we go. The console.log, all that, the response, the console.log is based on this response right here. This is the actual response from the call to my Laravel API. Okay, yeah. These are all the same call to the same API endpoint. I'm not sure if that all, I'm going to refresh and see if it actually calls it like, yeah, it's calling it like 4 times, which is obviously not what we want. But for now, it's actually getting data and we're happy. So we'll continue and figure out what's going on when that comes up. No need to keep that. Well, I didn't really finish API domains. So this one, the get or head request to API/domains, and in the Laravel file system, there is a domain controller with an index method in this namespace. I believe that's how it's explained. Anyhow, let's get back to React. So we have data in this res object right here. So that made the call. How did Axios know to call the actual like it called HTTP localhost, and if we look at actually the env file of the React app, it is this URL right here. So it's stored in React app API. I didn't show any of this previously, but I set it up before I started recording. So that's, and it's actually old code that is telling Axios. So Axios was already there, but I just upgraded it, right? So there is a config file somewhere. Control P. No. If I look for Axios, if I search for it in src, we will find it. It looks like it is an API.js, or maybe it's this one. Like I said, it's very messy in here. It looks like it's this one. So there's an API helper. I'm gonna have to trash all this, but as you can see, it's importing Axios, and this file is being imported somewhere in the app. So it's running for us, and this one is not applicable to us right now, but this is the one. This is the line that we're interested in. Axios.defaults.base_URL equals process.env.react app API, which is the environment variable that I'm setting. Okay, I hope that makes sense. This is this process.env React app API ends up being this string. So we can easily also just set this if we really wanted to, and it would still work, I think. Let's reload. And yeah, it's still working. So let's actually, I like to create an error just to confirm sometimes. I'll reload it again. And yeah, see, we have an error, uncaught in promise. While we have that, let's go ahead and check or add a catch to our Axios.get. So after the get, and thanks to VS Code, it highlights which bracket we're in. So we want, after the get, this, which is yellow. Or actually, sorry, after the then we can chain dot catch, and we need a function, and not thankfully, but I don't know what I want to say. Thanks to GitHub Copilot, it starts for us. Catch.error. We're just gonna console.error the error, and we're gonna have to figure out again what happened here. We're closing. I don't know. I'm just gonna type it myself. Console.error, and then in here we want ERR, which is this variable. I think that's right. Let's reload this, and we should get an actual. Oh, it's the same, isn't it? Let's add a foo. Save, reload, and yeah, we have a caught error right there. I'll erase the foo. I'm just gonna leave that in. Fix the change to this API helper back to original. Don't need that. Don't need the ENG anymore. Back to index, and I'll reload another time. I wish I didn't have to keep reloading, but I don't want to keep shutting down and restarting VS Code in Firefox or whatever. Okay, we're not using that use state, but I think I'm gonna cut it here. It is going on a long time. 42 minutes so far. But that would be no. Let's give it a shot. We're gonna try to use the card component with the data we pulled. That was the whole goal. Yeah, I don't want to quit before we finish. So this may run an hour. Okay, we have the card component. We don't need this. We have our index. So I'm gonna have to go back to the docs and figure out how to. We got to do something like this right here. Loop through. Couldn't catch that word. Loop, loop, loop. Yes, we have to loop through the data and output some cards. So let's try it out. We have. I'm gonna kill. No, I'm not gonna kill that yet. We'll expand that back into the main. We're in the actual homepage file. The homepage file. We have our data, but it's not being set anywhere to be used. So we do need to use some state now. I think, yeah. Use state. Like this exactly. I'm just gonna copy and paste right from their example and talk through it, I guess. We need to be within our component, and I think it's common to keep these function calls or hook calls at the top. You can put them wherever you want as long as you define them before you use them. So what is happening here is we are simply calling use state, which let's ask React docs. Use state. What is use state in React? Use state is React hook. Is a React hook that allows you to add state to a functional component. That's what these are called, functional components rather than class components. So use state returns an array with two values. Right here, see, two values. That's we're telling we're defining these values but using new like ES6 syntax or whatever. It's not really applicable, I guess, to talk about that. But we're using the return value of this, of course, to set items and set items. Set items is a function. Items will be an array. So yeah, this is returning an array and setting these two items. This shouldn't be named items if I'm saying items. The hook takes an initial state value as an argument, and that is this. This is an initial state value, and then it returns an updated state value. Oh no, that's not true. What I just said. The hook takes an initial. I think this. No. I was right. The hook takes an initial state value as an argument and returns an updated state value whenever the setter function is called. So this is the setter function. And then what is a proper term for items or this value? It's just the current state. Yeah, the current state and the function to update it. Okay, enough of that. And what is state? Well, it's basically just an object in the window or the document. Yeah, fancy. It's all fanciness for it's just another variable somewhere, but very high up globally, usually, or at least accessible globally. It's just another var or an object. Nothing fancy or special. And it holds current state. State. Now we have set items, so we can use set items in the Axios return function. So we want set items res.data. Is that even what it is? Let's have a look. So if we look at the response, that's what res is. Res is short for response. You can absolutely call this, I think, response. I don't think that's a reserved word. Or whatever, name, reserved name. I think that works. Yeah, it does. So I like using res though, just like everyone else. Look at it go nuts. We're doing something bad. Let's comment out that set items so it stops freaking out. There we go. Back to square one. Now what? I was looking at the actual response, and it is res.data that has all the items. So why is it freaking out like that though? Is it because it's use effect? I thought use effect only runs once. Oops, does use effect run once? Or it runs, by default, it runs both after the first render and after every update. That's why we were seeing multiple calls. So how do you use it only once? Let's click that. Hooks are used in functional components. Run, like to get some data from API, do something with data. In a totally isolated example like that, it's likely the use effect will run. Oh, I gotta backtrack a sec, and this is also why it's calling it more than once. This is an old RTK query, and I think now I can kill it and get rid of that table. So I'm just removing some old code using the red indicators to help me figure out what it is. There we go. We're able to get rid of that table, and I'm going to go back up here and get rid of the import. Again, all I did was remove some code to get rid of this table. That should disappear, but no, I gotta reload. Gone. Okay. And there we are. One call. I'm gonna see what happens if we uncomment set items. And I'm gonna reload. And it's gonna keep freaking out again. All right. Stop, please. Stop hammering my API. And this is why you don't keep in mind when you're using public APIs, or, you know, try not to hammer them on people, on these companies that help us out. Now we're trying to figure out how to not have it hit the API over and over and over. I don't know where I was looking it up. I guess it was here. Use effect will run when the component renders, which might be more times than you think. So that's what was happening. Is React, because it's a reactive framework, means there's an extra loop outside, like it's separate from the normal JavaScript event loop. Like it's an internal, it's almost like a game engine where it's redrawing the screen every time the state changes, I believe. Game engine actually will redraw it like a million times, or at least 60 times, 30 times a second, whatever. And it just updates based on the state. But I believe React is much more efficient than that, and should only re-render when state changes. All right. The problem with that is that you're doing something like fetching data from an API. You might end up double fetching. So we're like million time fetching. The trick is that use effect takes a second parameter. All right. The second parameter is an array of variables that the component will check to make sure changed, comma, before re-rendering. You could put whatever bits of props and state you want in here to check against. Okay, so we need to update our use effect, which is way down here, and add that empty array. And I guess, is that it? I'm gonna stop reading and just try it out, because it's fun to do that. It is fun to do that. Reload. And it only called once. Look at that. Awesome. Why did it only run once exactly? If you use this optimization, make sure that the array includes all values from the component scope, such as props and state. So the scope of this component that change over time, which would be items, I guess, and that are used by the effect. Otherwise, your code will reference stale values from previous renders. So if we reference, I think what it's saying is if we reference items in use effect or anywhere, or in use effect, where can we do that? Console.log. I'm gonna add a string items, and it's not awesome, is it? Go Copilot, or maybe that's not Copilot. Maybe that's an extension that's messing up the formatting. Anyhow, let's go back here, reload again. And what are we looking for? This items in console.log array of nothing. Okay. It ran before the data came back, and it's only running once. How do we really test? I'm just gonna pass in items. freaking out again. Okay, chill out, chill out. Okay, back, back, back. Control Z, Control Z. Items empty. Back to the docs. We also should try using items. We're going to copy and paste their example. They're using a UL. We should use a UL as well, because we do actually have an unordered list of cards to display. Now, if I just paste it in and then cut our card and replace this inside the li with the card. Ooh, then it should repeat a whole bunch of times. Nope, it's gonna error big time. Items.map is not a function. Why is it not a function? What did we do different? Oh, we have to use some state to handle those promises of the asynchronous data from the API call. I think is how you would say it. So let's go up to the top of our functional component. Repetition works. David. Const is loaded. Set is loaded. Use state false. So use state, this is the default value we're passing it. We could easily make it true. We could easily make it don't put words in my mouth. We can easily make it 425. I think you can also easily make it a object, but I believe it's against recommendations to do that. No complex objects in state. Don't quote me on that. We're gonna use false, like it said, because we're assuming that we don't have any data yet. All right, so we have is loaded and we have set is loaded. How are we using it? After the Axios call, not the fetch, the Axios call is successful, we can set is loaded to true and set the items. We're already setting the items, so let's set is loaded to true. And in the error, that's it. We're not going to get too far ahead. We want to see some results if we can. What did I do? Set is loaded true. I didn't finish down here. We actually have to check if it's loaded or not before we try to use items. I'll keep the docs open and probably end up copying and pasting because I can't keep my head straight. Nope, that's not where we want it. Let's put it around the whole UL. Let's go ahead and copy and paste and then delete some of it. No, that's too much. I only want this. And then this. Can't tell. No, that's too much. I only need that. I only need that. Where? After the UL. Okay. All wrong. Parsing error, unexpected token, if error. Oh. I don't know what I'm doing. Use effect ends right there. Oh, because it's returning. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking there. Let's backtrack. We can do it ourselves. It's pretty simple. All we got to do is open a JSX thing. Not is loading, and then where before I lose my train of thought, it's almost right, I think. Is loaded. Oh, it was right. The suggestion was right. Is loading is from like RTK query. All right. So we used some JSX to add a simple check. So when it's re-rendering, it always checks this variable is loaded. And this is the same as saying is loaded equal true, not true, false. If it's not, yeah. So the exclamation point is just the same as saying false or not true. And the ampersand is simply saying this also has to be true. And then I'll render it, which hopefully it is. Well, it's not erroring. Must have skipped something. So if it's loaded, go for it. Go for it. And are we setting it's loaded? Yes, we're setting loaded true, and then set items res.data. We can totally, this probably doesn't exist, maybe, I don't know. All right, so what's going on? We're calling, this still needs items in here now. It needs all those, I guess. That can't be right. No, it doesn't. Items. Nah, it's doing its thing again. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Result. We don't have any errors to deal with, or we're not trying. I mean, it's not even running this, so we don't have to worry about that. All right, so it only runs once. And then when it's done, it's set is loaded to true and set items. I don't see how we can't have passed the items in. I don't get it, actually. Now, if we are able to actually just stop somehow. And examine one of these. How can we do that? One of these. Data. Okay, why would it be fetching over and over and over and over and over? Why would you use effects? I guess because items changes. Yeah, I don't think we need to be passing items. I think we need to be passing set items, and set is loaded. Those run once. All of them? Maybe it's all of them. I'm baffled. Do we have to pass an Axios? No. they're not passing items or any of it. They're just ensuring it runs once, and then this gets set, and then we're supposed to be happy. But it's not happening because it runs once. There we go. No. It's .data. It's .data. Object data, and then data, and then all our stuff. Okay. At least we got somewhere. It's not freaking out, or it wasn't freaking out before this. But we did close a hole there. Where's that data? It's, if I do a console.log items and save, reload this. No. Res.data. That should be it. Either include it or what? Or remove it, or remove the dependency array. But if we include it, it goes nuts again. But we do get items. How do we stop it from going nuts? I'm gonna ask Google. Axios. What do you call it? Multiple calls. I don't know what this is. We're not going to go down that. We don't want to send. We want to stop from repeated calls. Multiple Axios inside each effect. I think he wants multiple calls. You can make the fetch header function return the data in the return state. Scanning this to see if now we're using Axios, man. Shadow fetch cities. Not quite what we want. How to solve the infinite loop. Value. On change target set value. Breakable loop. Using a reference. Use effectively. Still, you have to be careful in the objects as dependencies. For example, so it looks like maybe it's because it's an object, a huge object. Avoid objects as dependencies. I even said that earlier, like not use objects in state. Same principle applies, I guess. So let's figure out what a ref is. Using a reference. An alternative is to use a reference created by useRef hook. So presumably if we have add use ref up here, we can create a reference like this. Const count ref equals use ref. We don't want to call count ref. We'll call it items ref. And it will be empty, I guess. I don't know. We don't want it zeroed. We want that. We want an array. Now items ref set value target dot value count ref. Where does it use value? Right here. Calls on change there. I don't know how to adapt it. We want the items ref, I guess, in the use effect. They're not even using a use effect, are they? Items, item ref, items ref, and then items ref. Let's try comment that out. Set items and use item ref dot current equals res dot data dot data. I guess. It wants items. I don't know if that's gonna work. We need items ref dot map. Now let's check our page and see how bad we did. Very bad. Items ref dot map is not a function because we need to use dot current. Let's all get down. Come on, everybody. Let's all get down. Oh, we didn't damage anything. Nothing's happening though, because don't know why. Freaking out again. Res.data. What's going on? Oh, it was the set items that I was freaking it out again. All right. 1 hour, 15 minutes. I don't think I'm going to figure this out in really good time. So I'm going to have to cut and next vid. We'll figure it out in the next video.